Good day. Today's readings are from Genesis chapter 3, verses 9 through 15, and verse 20, the scene after the fall, where God calls to a hiding Adam, confronts the blame shifting that follows, and curses the serpent. And from the Gospel of John, chapter 19, verses 25 through 34, the foot of the cross, where Jesus entrusts his mother to the beloved disciple, declares, "It is finished," and hands over his spirit. The alternate first reading is Acts chapter 1, verses 12 through 14. The disciples, returning from the Mount of Olives, to gather in the upper room after the ascension, devoted to prayer with one accord. Now let me tell you what these readings are really saying, and why the arc from Adam's garden to Calvary is the most important map of consciousness you will ever study. Where are you? That is the first question God asks in the garden, and it is the question I Am is always putting to you. Not because your infinite awareness does not know where you are. It does. It produced the very conditions you are standing in. The question is whether you know. Adam had eaten of the tree of divided knowing, which means he had accepted a split mind. He listened to the serpent, that reasoning, doubting faculty that whispers, "Did God really say?" And immediately he contracted. He hid. He felt naked, insufficient, exposed. And when called to account, he blamed the woman. The woman blamed the serpent. This is the pattern of the man who does not know himself as I am. He is always running from his own assumption, always surprised by the life his own inner state has produced, always pointing elsewhere for the cause. The hiding is the sickness. The law does not care who you blame. It only reproduces what you are. But there is another pattern entirely. After the ascension, the disciples returned to Jerusalem and went to the upper room. Mark that phrase. The upper room is not a place on any map. It is a state of consciousness, the elevated awareness, where you no longer reason from appearances, where you withdraw from the noise of the outer world and go within. They gathered there with one accord, no divided mind, no competing assumptions, wholly unified in prayer. And Mary was among them. In my teaching, the mother is always the imagination, the divine feminine, the receptive creative faculty, the womb in which every desire takes shape. When you go to the upper room and you bring your imagination with you, fully, with one accord, that is the moment the creative act begins. Now hear the declaration that crowned the entire arc. At the cross, after everything has been given, his mother entrusted to the beloved disciple, his thirst offered to the wine, his body exhausted by the work, Jesus says three words: "It is finished." Not "it will be," not "I pray it may come to pass." It is finished. The present perfect, the completed state. This is the language of the assumption fulfilled. When I teach you to pray, I do not teach you to beg or to strain toward a distant hope. I teach you to move in consciousness to the point where the thing is already done, to stand in the feeling of the wish fulfilled and declare from that inner place that it is finished. That is the prayer that works. That is the death of the old state and the birth of the new. And then the scripture adds this: from that hour, the disciple took her into his home. He took the mother, imagination, into his dwelling. Once you have declared it finished, once you have assumed the state you desire, you take that imaginal act into your inner home and you live with it. You do not take it out and examine it anxiously. You do not measure it against outer appearances. You dwell with it. You let it become familiar. You let it become, to your interior sense, the only reality that matters. This is the consecration of your desire, held quietly, tended lovingly within. Here is what I invite you to do today. Close your eyes. Leave the hiding and the blaming to Adam. Go to your upper room, that quiet interior space beneath all noise. Take the mother with you. Bring your imagination fully alive to the state you desire. Construct a brief scene that would imply the wish fulfilled. Feel the reality of it. Let it saturate your body. And then, with the ease and authority of one who knows the law, say it within yourself, simply, silently, it is finished. Not tomorrow, now. That is your prayer, that is your word, that is I am declaring itself complete. Until tomorrow, I love you.